Steve says, thanks so much for having Mashami speak. I enjoyed her the most. Oh, everyone has receives different at their different times, and whatever you need is always what comes up and what you resonate the most with. She was very fascinated, and apparently I was really leaned in today too.
Okay, you guys, hello everyone and welcome. I'm Jenna Blackard,
And I'm Lyanca Reyna.
and this is the Haute Hustle Morning Show. Today we're talking with Lyanca Reyna, and we are talking about Akashic Records and really how Lyanca had a it
Well,
sounds like
and
I
here,
don't even know your name, had an awaken, truly an awakening.
yeah.
And it really changed everything and who she was. Now, let me just preface this. Lyanca worked in my business back in 2011, 2012, almost to 2013. And then she
Mhm.
decided to move away from me and made me really sad. And but
But it
in
was in
that
Oregon.
time,
Yeah.
we built a really massive
Yeah.
practice, had many huge live events, broke over gross of 1.2 million at that time. And then she left, and at the time she was the manager of the company. And then I decided that I was just going to kind of do it on my own, and that just didn't work. It wasn't fun for me. And then when she moved back into Austin, she came back. But what happened in the meantime is she had her own like dark night of the soul,
Yeah.
and then this like wow weirdness that she's going to tell you about in just a second, which then intersected with my wow weirdness kind of in a glorious way that you could have never orchestrated without consciousness.
Yeah.
So she's going to go ahead and share that story with you. And then next week, at the end of the closer to the end of the show, I'm going to share about my mystical experiences and how I became a channel and all that yumminess too.
Yay.
So here we go.
Yeah.
Let's start. Like,
Sure.
so do you want to start kind of where you had your crash and burn
Yeah.
moment?
So in 2020, yes, we weren't working together, which means I went back to work eventually. We moved back to Austin. And when I was in Oregon, it was a really different place for me. My son was really young. I found myself very lonely. And, traditional therapy wasn't like working for me to try to fill out what was going on with me. At this point, we had been in Oregon for like 4 years. And the plan was only to be there for like two. So I picked up the phone. I was like, who's hiring anywhere in Austin? And so because I worked in radio and television, I had a lot of, I had a really great network here. And so I came back to work. My husband had stayed back. But during the course of that time in Oregon, I had picked up I wouldn't say the habit, but I was drinking a lot more. And it had gotten to a point where I was kind of satiating the loneliness with drinking. And at the time, it was probably a little more kind of hidden. But when I went back to work, the stress and the combined of everything, I found myself like not really feeling present at all. So after my son would go to sleep, I'd be like, oh, okay, it's wine time. And I would try to get more work done. And honestly, it just played that whole cycle for, I think that was back in 2017 to about 2020. My husband was back in the house, everything like that, because he had stayed back for work. And nonetheless, nothing was really changing. And I was really feeling like this overwhelm of having to drive all the way to the studio. And I wouldn't get home till like almost 9 o'clock, where I was barely seeing my son. And I was just on this really repetitive, like deep and dark place. Like I didn't know how to get out of it. I thought that I was really having a great time because I was working back in the field that I knew how, and that was all fine. But there was this sense of just like sinking grossness. And I didn't know what to do with it. And lo and behold, 2020 happened. And secretly, I was happy because if you work in a studio, it's always high stress, high paced, and you always have to be there. And so when we were told to not go in, I was like, I'm so okay with that. And then I was furloughed. So, which means that they had basically laid all of us off. And I was just like, I never had that much time on my hands, and I was drinking. So I didn't, and I also didn't know how to deal with these feelings of just overwhelmed, didn't know how to really shake this I'm still drinking thing. And it was kind of a little bit spiraling, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. I'd always thought that I had some type of control, but at this point I didn't feel good at all. Like I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to turn, and I didn't know who to talk to. So I asked my mom. She had been sober for, I guess, a couple of years, and I never thought that I was like my mom. Like I'd always use this whole thing, like I'm going to be different than my mom. I wasn't raised by her. She was raised, I was raised by my grandma because of her drug and alcohol problem. But by this time, she had already had about 3 years sober, and she had already changed her whole life. So I knew that I could reach out to her. And so the way that I got sober was going to AA meetings. And in AA, they do have, you do have a certain set of principles. But because I had worked with Jeneth and I had been on my own spiritual journey, I realized that the principles were really overlapping with what a lot of this AA was teaching. And so basically, it's like you go through the different things of like releasing, and you do your amends, whatnot. But what they were doing was overlaying. And even in AA, it says, and ever as a result of having this, we had a spiritual awakening. So I was like it was so profound. The fact that I could go one day without drinking, and then the next day by doing these set of principles that I had already learned before that I didn't. And so as the lo and behold, I mean, nobody else was, going out and everything. I just listened to a ton of audiobooks at the time, and I repainted the house and the cabinets, and really just trying to keep myself busy so I didn't think about like drinking. I didn't want to, but I also didn't want to fall back into that trap. And I hope this is resonating with some people because I don't talk about it a ton. And during that time, I picked up the book Life Between Lives. Now, prior to all this, I also have this ability to really be clued into what's going on in patterns. And the pattern that I had picked up in like when I was in my 20s was like I could tell we were going through climate change even before NASA scientists were allowed to speak to the media. And I would walk around like trying to tell everybody like my best friend, my girlfriends are getting ready to go to the club and stuff like, hey girl, does this look good? And I'm like, hey girl, did you see that there was a hailstorm the other day? Like they didn't care. Like nobody believed me, nobody cared. And so I always had this sense of not being able to really convey what I was experiencing all of the time, because I've always had this ability to kind of like go further than a lot of my peers at the time. And so that's how I met Janet, is because I was seeking out a whole nother experience. And so I during that time in now, so fast forward, because I have that ability, and because I have this curiosity, that these big questions that I'm always trying to answer, I was listening to a book that was about grief and about hearing your past persons converse with you. I didn't have anybody that had passed that I needed to speak with. I just was fascinated by the information. And in that book, I found another book that she talked about, which was Michael Newton's Life Between Lives. And he talks about, where we go between lives. Earth is an earth school. He talked about, all of the different things about how he found people slipping back to their former lives while in hypnosis. And I found that fascinating. And I wanted to learn more about how hypnosis, how you can get somebody from in current state to go through to die while under hypnosis, and then go to the between lives. And the number of cases that they had studied. I mean, I read all of the books via audiobook. I listened to all the different cases. I found all there were so many things that were so similar about what everyone was saying, that I knew that this had to be something more. So then, lo and behold, I'm not sure exactly how QHHT found me or I found it, but I was probably clued into Dolores Cannon's work. And so then I just started absorbing every single one of her books. I couldn't put it down. It's kind of those things like when I was studying to try to find out about climate change. I mean, y'all, I was using my old flip phone, like, because this is like back in the day, as a modem, so that I could keep reading some information that was like on the BBC about how they're tracking, temperatures and the rising oceans. Like that's how much I seek information out. privately. Like all this happens behind the scenes. I don't even talk to my friends or anybody about it. So I'm painting the house and I'm listening to Nostradamus. She has a book where she's I'm not listening to Nostradamus. I actually was scared of him and even the words. And so I'm listening and I'm painting and stuff like that, or we'll be hanging out and I have like my audiobook on or something. And Dolores Cannon has a book of conversations. She's got three conversations with Nostradamus. And so I was listening to them and my husband's like, what are you reading? And I was like, conversations of Nostradamus, like I was like, and
like wrongness.
Yes, because I didn't want him to judge me, like all this stuff, right? And so, and I didn't really understand why at the point I was doing any of this, but nonetheless, I was super curious as I was. And so fast forward about 2022, I in that time gone back to work, whatever, not, and still feeling really, really lonely and decided to get a QHHT session. So probably one of my only sessions that I had planned to pay for in my life. And I don't really ever, because I know that we can get our own answers, have ever really done a ton of readings or anything like that. Not that I had anything different about it, but I just hadn't. And so I decided on the way to go get this session, I was like, Lyanca, I know that you're in a bad place. And I know that there's so many questions for you. Yes, you're not drinking, but you're still feeling like you're missing something. And I'm like, yeah, I am. And it was like, and then at that moment, it was like, will you be willing to just be so open? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be so open no matter what comes through. And I feel like it's dorky or whatnot, or I'm scared. I'm just going to say exactly what I am experiencing in this hypnotic state. And I'm just going to go with it. At this point, I'm still very, very like apprehensive to the whole concept, kind of, even though I know all this innately. So I go for this session and she proceeds to put me under and we're having a, conversation and quickly, if you know the process, basically what if you know the process, I'm going to do this for the QHHT people. I came off what's called the pleat cloud in my session, and then I'm supposed to go to now be in another place in time, right? So it could be my past life, or it could be anywhere. Well, I go to what she now, my practitioner, described as source. I went past source, and I found myself in this bar that I could only resemble to kind of look like the like was it Star Wars bar that have like all these really different aliens there, and it's like dun, 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 dun. So and I'm here and I see this dark figure sitting in the corner and he beckons me forward and I'm like, oh gosh, how do I say this out loud? And she's like, okay, tell me what you see. And I said, well, I'm walking over to a man and he's there and I don't want to go, but I know I should. And in my other part of my mind, because I'm present, Lyanca is in this, like I'm awake. In my mind, I'm still awake. And I'm present, kind of. So I'm saying this, but I'm watching myself say this, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. But I don't, because I had promised myself I was going to be open. So she's like, okay, what else do you see? And I say, well, I'm going to go over there. She's like, go ahead. See if you feel safe, go. And he proceeds. And so I was like, she said, okay, who is he? And I said, I'm like, oh gosh. And I was like, I know what I hear in my head, but I don't want to say it. And I was like, he said he's Nostradamus. And I was like, oh my gosh, why am I saying this? This is Nostradamus. That something bad's going to happen. I think this is crazy. I'm making this up. I have no idea. Finally, I just completely release, and Nostradamus comes through and starts to talk. And his dialect is different. He's, yelling in the session. He's telling my practitioner how they know each other, how they have exchange of energy, how, why he needs to come through at this time because we're in a place of, lots of turmoil. Our nexus points are really close words that I'd never use in my vocabulary. Mm-hmm. And we get through with the session and we had made a promise and an agreement to continue to bring his information out at the current time, because the last book that was with Dolores Cannon was written back in the 80s, maybe early 90s. So time there's a good amount of time, and things are very, very at the crux point for things that are changing, and everybody feels it right now. So we do about a 17 part sessions as part of a bigger project. But through those sessions, I always channeled back Nostradamus, but I also channeled very many light beings. I channeled, was on the ship. I channeled the intergalactic correlation of federation. They have different, I mean, it's however it comes through in the naming, but it is the same loving galactic federation that he is here to protect the earth. And we have free will, but some of the information that we probably most need to know. And as a course of that, being so open, because I've asked, I was like, why me? Why do I need? And it's because, and then I heard the words, it's because you're open. And so now I'm able to connect with the energetic light beings now freely. And so I do so through using people's Akashic records. And I only do that because the Akashic records are so powerful and they're yours, because I believe everybody should have the information that they need and we have access to themselves. So all that just to say that this is kind of been
me just following the energy.
Yeah.
But what would happen if we would actually just call up Nostradamus and have readings? You knew I was going to ask that, didn't you?
The difference is because the state for Nostradamus is that he is existing, and the way he explained it to me is that he's also existing in his time, having his experience. So we are both existing at the same time right now. And that time, because it doesn't truly exist. So when I appear to Nostradamus, is that through him, he is also meditating and in a suggestive recipient space. So like when I had explained, like we taught, like he has to use the words that are in my vocabulary. So he's like saying something, he's like, yes, when you sit on your bum, he's like, bum, that's a funny word. Ha ha ha. Cause like for butt, right? And like it's different things to explain different things. And so I think that if we try to just call him up, that he is still doing his work. And so it has to be in a exchange of more of like when I do the QHHT session, I've already told the universe that I'm here for this. I'm here for this reason, and I'm here to get your information out. It doesn't mean that we can't, but I also think that it's very much of an honoring because he also has to be in his place where he's receiving as well.
Yeah, but if he's like we've had this conversation about like beyond the timeline,
sure,
right? If he's in no time,
but he's in his body.
Okay,
when we contact him, he's in his body.
Okay, interesting.
Yes, and he perceives us as like a shadow and a knowing.
Oh, okay.
So if you have those inklings, you could be receiving from your higher self. You could be receiving as well. Yeah. Or you could be working with, prophet of that time, right? So we learned that from Jennifer yesterday, how the packets of information are going around and how we receive them. So you could be receiving essentially from Nikola Tesla if you get some inklings, right?
Yeah.
I mean, true. But that's why we have the need for sitting down and doing things like, hypnosis, or sitting down and having session of opening your records, creating that safe space, especially through meditation, because that's when we get those downloads and we've created the space for the downloads.
Wouldn't it be cool that people would channel you in 100 years? Like, that person was so powerful. I want to channel them.
I don't think that I necessarily sat down to channel him by any means. I think he needed to get the information out because he just cared about humanity so much. And the funny thing was, what I learned through that experience was I was so afraid of him because that is what society had made it to be. They burned his work and they confiscated all his books. And back then, religion wanted to have the stronghold over the information that he had because they didn't want people to know how to heal themselves we still go through that today. So the funny thing was though, is that like I've been afraid of this man and his name for so long, and I never really understood why. I think maybe I associate it with witchcraft or stuff like that. It's funny.
Probably.
To be a witch, right?
Yeah.
Because of my upbringing, because of religion. And now when I realized it, he's actually very humorous. He is and very caring for humanity, because some of the stuff he was learning about humanity, from my understanding, is that he was tired at the end. He was, probably because he was like, I got all this knowledge
every step of the way.
Yeah.
That's reality.
And
like a lot of us.
for the people that are skeptics, right? For the people that are skeptics, and I was one too, because I remember in my session going, this lady doesn't know, my practitioner, she doesn't know I'm making all this shit up. I was like, I'm just pulling stuff out of my head, right? And apparently that is a common misconception that our ego has us go through, because when I came out of the hypnosis, I thought maybe an hour and a half had passed. And I looked at the clock and 4 hours had passed. So I had no concept of time. I have no concept of, and when I listened back to my recording, there was clearly parts that I did not even know had transpired or had a lot of recollection for. So it was very fascinating.
Yeah. It's interesting when I channel, I think because I had such a profound on the first time.
Yeah.
I think that that is one area that I don't go in and out. I think there's sometimes questions of where the information is coming from. And sometimes I don't get a clear answer back when I ask, but I think that that's different for me a little bit, because usually I even sometimes feel like the crap that comes out of my mouth is sometimes just not even mine. But
oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's not crap.
Where did that come from? Okay, let's take some callers. Go ahead and raise your hand if you'd like an Akashic reading with Lyanca.
Yay.
It's really cool.
Yes.
But you do have to have a question.
Yes.
For her work and my work, it does, we do follow the question and the energy.
Yes.
So.
And even I've gotten in trouble because I've opened my records and I've asked him like, okay, where should I go or go with this and or something really broad. And then it was like, dear one, ask your question. And I was like, I got it. I know I need to have a question, because when we stay in question, then we really bring up the energy of that most either we desire or want to have change for. And so it really dives into, then you can receive the information because we have free will. Okay. I use the pathway prayer process by Linda Howe, and I actually read it for every single person. And the reason is because I want you to be able to get this information. I believe that you should be able to, I'm not the guru, and you always have discernment over your own stuff. I cannot open your records without you, and I have to ask your permission. But also I want you to be able to take this work and start to ask, open your own records. Ask your own questions. If you're really dealing with something, even your children. Now, we can't open the records for anyone under age 18. Same thing for QHHT, but because they're still having their experience. But you can open your own records and ask about how you can approach something better and receive more information about that for our children too. So without further ado,
let's bring up ready?
Yeah. I'm sorry if I misspell your name. As long as I got your just of a little bit of your name, we have the energy for it. And that's the most important thing. I need your current name on not your birth name. I need the current name that you are or legally currently.
Okay.
Not who you want to be.
No, I don't know.
Yeah. Starbrook.
Okay, it's Shara Lynn Federley.
Perfect. Hi, Sharon.
Hey.
All right. Hi. All right. And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and the courage to seek and know the truth, as it was revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. O Holy Spirit of God, protect me from all forms of self-centeredness and direct my attention to the work at hand. Help me to know Shara Lynn, what was the last name?
Federley.
Through in the light of the Akashic records, to see Shara Lynn Federley through the eyes of the lords of the records, and enable me to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones have of Shara Lynn Federley. have for her. And I'm going to say this 2 times by myself. And you take a breath, everyone, because you receive from the records, and anyone that's chosen has been chosen for us all. While I do this privately. The records are now open. Hi, Shara.
Hey.
Hey, so what I want you to do real quickly is just experience what you're experiencing in your records
Mm-hmm.
and take a deep breath. What does it feel like for you?
Cloudy a little bit.
Mm,
It's clearing.
yeah. To me, it feels like it's floating on air or kind of just was
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, I seen clouds. Yeah. Kind of
Yeah.
floaty. Yeah.
Great. What is your
Okay.
question today?
There's something that keeps popping up for me, and it popped up again while watching some of the replays off and on this week. And I had a reading from an angel. She was an angel intuitive years ago, then told me that I completed my Dharma. I had completed my Dharma. And I never quite understood that because I don't feel like I have. I feel like I haven't accomplished everything that I'm here for. So I'm just wanting some input on that. What was she, it's like, what is she getting at? So, and it popped up for me a couple times.
How
So,
much do you trust what you received?
I'd say
Did you
probably
feel that?
about 60% because she was very animated. So it was, I don't know, we were in a
Was it
group setting.
convincing or was it a
It
knowing?
it was convincing enough for the others who were with me to be
Okay.
saddened by it a little
You
bit.
are a very wise soul, very wise soul. And there are souls that I wouldn't even use the word soul. There are beings that no longer need to reincarnate. And there are the for the reason of completing a karmic reason, for those souls now become the masters and teachers and loved ones of others who now are experiencing what they need to experience on earth. When I look at that experience, I kept just getting a like a vibratory, not a no, but a not spot on. And that is the reason for your own discernment, why you should open your own records to begin with anyway.
Yes, I
Because
agree.
you have all the answers you need within you. You have them now. You don't even need to have me to say them to you. But you want to have that reassurance, of course, as the channel all want to. But
Yes.
when you finally start to understand that the information comes from the true highest form of what you are here to do here on earth, then you would not even have to question whether or not you are in dharmic completion, because everything changes with every possibility likewise in any way. But
Absolutely.
yes. So if the convincing was enough to convince your friends, but still not be the truth for you, then you would still not have it be the truth for you at an innate level. This is the beauty of humanity. The beauty of humanity is for you to understand that you still have free will. For if I was to tell you that you were going to save a cat in 5 days, and you did not save the cat, you would probably wonder why. But you probably could have taken various different turns and avenues for that needing of the saving of the cat to happen, because the every potentiality would be there.
Right. Yeah.
What is your deeper question, my love? For the Dharma is not what you have come to
I
here
don't.
for.
Are you sure? Because I really
Many
don't
questions.
have one.
There is one that is sitting on your heart, but
Hmm.
as I have said before, you can sit and be alone if you feel that you cannot share here with
Yeah.
your privacy. That is understandable. This is the reason
Mhm.
why you have this beautiful place to
Right.
come with your own sanctuary, like of time. Because
Yeah.
all of you that has ever existed, and this is for all on the call, every single moment, second, millisecond, and even the in between that you probably can't even comprehend would be recorded in these records for you to utilize, even in this lifetime,
Mhm.
for your most highest good. Now, remember, the highest good does not mean just to keep the information for yourself. It is meant to help to elevate all here who are having this experience. All humans, why this is what I mean. Even the animals around you can be enlightened by your simple fact of choosing to access your records or to access your own intuitive information, or just
Mhm.
really being in the form of joy more often than not.
Yeah, I'm in a heavy place right now.
Yes.
So
And it might be more
yeah.
private than you'd want to share here with us
Yes.
today. Okay, this. But
Yes.
just know that because you energetically answered, asked me, I will give you this. Your fret will not be long.
Okay.
And know that you will ultimately, with your, I will advise you to sit in meditation
Yeah, I haven't
because you have,
meditated in a few days. Yeah.
yes, yes. Cry if you need to, but you just come back to the center. Do not make yourself mad for the cry, for it is a simple act of release, and it is the human experience to have that emotion come up and out of you, but not needed to be in there, and definitely not to be dealt with privately when you have all of these resources like me to come and be with you, because ultimately your higher self wants to assist you with this, but you have to ask the question. We cannot come and just start meddling in anyone's lives
Mhm.
and moving
Right.
stuff around, because then you would be pissed off at us. You have enough to
Yes.
blame on that. But,
Right.
and we say that with all love and just joking humor, but the experience that you have is with your own discernment and your own free will. For if we were to do any of that, we would be in violation of the contract
Yes.
that the, and
Mhm.
we use contract as a very different word, but that you have had, and how you have selected these things to happen to you, for you. Then, and that's another thing I want other people to receive on this message, is that these are not things that are just happening to you. You have designed them,
Mhm. Yes.
but you will not fret long, and just
Okay.
be with the information. You have everything you need to have right there. There is only love, and there is another way to look at it too. There is love. There's so much love in that. Okay.
Thank
Bless
you.
you and love
Thank
you.
you.
We got
Love
you.
you too. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Paula, you're up.
Hi, Paula. Oh, let me close the records. We like to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones for their wisdom. The records are now closed. Amen. Oh, tell me your full name.
Benroy.
Paula. I missed it. Sorry.
Ben Roy.
Van Roy?
Mhm.
Okay. You have a middle name?
Delane.
Okay. And is this the current name on your like records, like your legal records?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Hi, Paula.
Hi.
Okay, let me just go through the path, do the pathway prayer process. And since I don't have it memorized, okay. And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, directions, and the courage to know the truth that is revealed for our highest good and to the highest good of everyone connected to us. O Holy Spirit of God, protect me from all forms of self-centeredness and direct my attention to the work at hand. Help me to know Paula Delane Van Roy in the light of the Akashic records, and to see Paula Delane Van Roy through the eyes of the Lords of the Records, and enable me to share the wisdom, compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved one of Paula Delane Roy have for her. Repeating twice to myself. Take a breath. The records are now open. Paula, have you ever opened your records before?
I have.
Good. What does it feel like for you right now? What to be in your records? What are you experiencing?
Jumpiness.
Jumpiness. Is it giddiness? Just jumpiness. Okay.
Yeah, like very kind of like up and down, up and down.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my calf muscles as the channel are flexing. So there's a lot of energy here. There's a lot of energy here. It's interesting being in other people's records. Paula, what is your question, my love?
So, kind of tied back to one of the readings I had the other day, talking about like this veil of unworthiness.
Mm.
And as much as I try and uncover what that is, I really am almost at a standstill, like not understanding. So just some clarity around that, kind of how to help work through it. And the guides and things that can maybe help me work through that. Or
Why do you want to have the answer to this question? There's another question underneath. What would the understanding of the self veil provide for you? For that is going to be the place where you want to start. Not that the question is a bad question and the understanding of it is, but for you to understand would be for you to have the reason why you want to understand it. What would be the outcome? What would it look like to not have that veil? That is where you want to start your question from. Do you understand, my love?
yeah, and I think the reason to that is feeling like I can't access my higher self or my guides because of that.
That would never be the case. But when you have a belief system that is in place that tells you that there is a reason for not being able to access that what is always yours, then you will for sure complete that as prophecy. But if you were to know that you could come here at any time to receive the information that you most desire through the form of even opening your records, and I know that this is just one form of being able to communicate, for it is for you to create that safe space. I think that when you have, I'm not going to think for you, I'm going to ask. When you have all of the things that are surrounding you, like you do, I guess I'm going to just tell you, like you do when you do in your life, then have you created the space to allow for the information to come through and really ask with your heart the answer? If you have sat in meditation and you have sat and said, I may not be receiving this because I have a level of unworthy, for that is never the case. You always have access to your information. Now, how you discern it might be different, and how you sit down and create the time to make the access for that may be different. And sometimes you could be in a state where your hormones or your food or your balance has you where you are unable to receive the information through your mind, but you always have access to this information. There is nothing that you could ever do on your existence that would ever have you not to have access to your higher self. You are always your higher self. A part of you is there in that body, and the other part is connected to here with source. For if you were to take all of your pieces with you, then you would blow that body right out. But to answer your bigger question, since you proposed it here, there are some practices that you could put in place that would have you know that what you are receiving is very much and in fact true and received for you. For if we were to provide the information, then you would know that it comes from a higher place. The problem is that you have that level of unfaith. I would not call it unfaith, but to give you the full answer there would be to take up all day. So the place that I would have you start from is, do I trust myself? Do I love myself enough to give myself the forgiveness of any places where I feel self-worth, even if that comes up in the same sentence and same moment? Do I have enough? Have I created enough space to just simply love myself, just as the only form of being, not in the human existence, but as an infinite light being that you are? Could you start from that place and say, you know what, I just have love for you? And if you could start from that place, then you have created a safe space for you then to receive your information and to trust the information that is coming through. I would advise you to do your channeled writing. And if you need help doing channeled writing, you can start by opening your records, or you can sit in meditation and just use your arm to freeform. No matter what comes out on that page, you do not need to make heads or tails of it. You just simply need to allow yourself to be into the space of I receiving. And when you receive, then you will receive, because then you start to understand what it feels like to connect. Does that make sense, my love? The bigger
Yes.
question is why you want to have this connection, because the reason is that you feel it would change things for you already have access to the change that you wish and desire. So then you would be able to use this information as an assertiveness for making your decisions. But honestly, when you make your decisions from a place of like, now I know, and you have used your intuition and your connections, then your decisions that come out of your mouth and it from your little head and into your mouth and out of an expression and form, they will be more just, if you will, in your own mind. They will make more sense. In other words, you will make decisions from a different place.
Yeah.
Without, yes.
Yes.
Do you have
Thank
another
you.
question? Okay.
Automatic writing is your homework.
Yeah.
Bless you. We love you so much, dear. And we are excited that you want to have this exploration. For if many more humans came forth and asked this very question of themselves, they would then be saving the earth from, there would be a lot less work for all of us to do, right?
Right.
And you are doing that for us now. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we'd like to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones for their wisdom, compassion, and love. The records are now closed. Amen. All right, who's up?
Right, Lisa, you're up.
Hey, Lisa. Girl. All right.
Hi.
Lisa's
Yeah.
also in the inner circle.
Yeah. And full disclosure, I am actually currently working with Lyanca right now.
Yes. Full
The question
disclosure.
that I'm going to ask
Hold on,
is,
we'll ask the records. Hold on. We'll ask the records. Let me open them.
okay.
And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and the courage to know the truth as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. O Holy Spirit of God, protect me from all forms of self-centeredness and direct my attention to the work at hand. Help me to know Lisa Michelle Sneed. Is that right?
Woodsneed.
Woodsneed, there it is. In the light of the Akashic records, to see Lisa Michelle Woodsneed through the eyes of the Lords of the Records, and enable me to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of Lisa Michelle Woodsneed have for her. Take a breath. Mm.
It's funny when they all open, they're so different in flavor.
Mm. The records are now open. But see, yes, the energy
That's
of
the
it.
difference.
No. The energy starts to come through whenever I'm about to the third time.
Yeah.
It starts to open up, and I can
Yeah,
feel
you
it
can tell
opening.
exactly when it
yeah.
opens. It's so cool.
And I always want to go like this because I feel like
Yeah.
I'm surrounded by helium.
That's exact. Yeah. That's a good description for it.
Right.
Like,
I feel like I have to hold on to my seat, like, because I'm going to like float up
I
away.
even hear you different.
Mhm.
Lisa, what is your question, my love?
I am partly asking this question because I know this is also from the reading from the other day with Ambajam. And I feel like there were some people that were a little bit concerned about the answer that I got. And initially I was too. And I was intending to spend some time in my records to answer this question.
Yes.
I haven't had time. So since we're here now, I can ask this question. And hopefully anyone that was concerned from the other day will also get the answer. And my question is, do I need to be concerned at all about not being fully in my body? I don't think that I do need to be concerned about it. But I wanted to ask the question because I wanted for that
There's
to be
no need for
answered.
concern. There's no need for concern for many of you spend very many hours and time outside of your body, but that is also a place where you can also look at what would it feel like and the benefits for being in your body. For sometimes we are presented with information that helps us to gain a better not perspective, but to put you on a, if you look at the, and all of this is not precisely the right way in which to present this information, but for purposes of time, if you were to look at your spiritual journey as a linear form and you are climbing, as many of you humans like to use, but it is not linear, and it is more of a this than a this. But if you were to look at where you are on your human in your spiritual journey as a human, then you would find that some of those information that you receive are information for you to actually do something with rather than to encompass. And so rather than to take yourself and put them into encompassing, oh, where am I, and to have concern for I'm not in my body, then that would be dishonoring of the message. For the benefit for you would be to, what would it be like to, what are the advantages of being more in my body? What would those look like for today? Because we have met before and because the joy that there is for you opening your own records, there are much information that you have already received, but you would have received it regardless if you had come here or not. The experience of consciousness in your terms to provide you with this information will utilize everything around you in order to have you have that spiritual awakening or aha, if you will. And then the same goes for everyone on this call. Like, we will use anything to try and get through to you because there are many times when we spend trying to have you, and you do too with your own questioning. But would it be more advantageous for you to then sit and have meditative state where you are saying, okay, I am more in my body, and then also make a list and allow us to contribute to that list? So another form of child writing, if you will, and put in those information. What would I experience if I could experience a better form of embodiment? I could feel have the deliciousness of tasting a pizza, for example, for it is the reason why you have come here, to have more joy and to experience this experience for others as well. So as you elevate, if you will, then so do others. So the real question that you could be sitting with instead is, what would it look like to be, and what would be more beneficial, and how can I have what I would most desire to have if I were more embodied? For you really are planting the seed for tomorrow's manifestation in your linear form. Are you following?
Yes, yes.
What is your
Also,
next question? Because there is still a disconnect there. And we would like to shed more light on the entirety of the situation. For, again, remember, the various different vessels in which the information is provided to you could be just enough for you to have a seed to open up to something else that's greater that is already planned for you that your higher self most wants you to have. So wouldn't you believe that your higher self would want you to have an experience of happy and joyful embodiment from this point forward?
Absolutely. And
Well,
I am fully in my body when
then the reading would be have done its purpose, wouldn't you say?
yes, absolutely.
Precisely. So then the reasoning for having any of that experience at all would be to help you to have what you most desire. So no matter if you believe it or not, the outcome could be mostly what you desired, to fret and stay in frets of like, had I been in my body or am I not in my body? That means no matter, because when you have a new present, you are rewriting the past anyway.
Yes. And I'm absolutely in my body when I'm eating pizza.
Yes.
Yes.
That is why we say that.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
sorry, I'll express it.
You
Yes.
finish up with her. I have something to say about this topic because
And what else does that feel like? You can talk about your intimate time. You can talk about these are your own writings in your own paper and what you would like to most have for you. If you want to sit here and have a smell from a flower and enjoyment, then that would be something to be so excited about for having a body. To sit out and see the sunset would be very enjoyable for some.
Yes.
And so then the reading would have, in that sense, then for the purpose of enjoyment for now and going forward. And then it would be, in your words, would it have been advantageous for you to have had this information? If it required that you would then now make a change to be fully present, if that is what you most desire, and with the desires that you most desire to have.
I believe I'm happiest with it the way it is, spending time in my body and out of my
Yes.
body. I really, like I also said the other day, I want to help everyone. And I feel like my question was in part to help other people if they may have heard that call, and hopefully they would also hear this call and hear that answer.
this is an incredibly valuable topic that I have already written up for the Vision Alchemy thing. But I do want to comment on it when you guys are finished. Just, it'll be short.
I think you can make your comment now.
Okay, great. So I lived most of my life not in the present moment. And is the present moment being in your body? Yes, it is. I have questioned that and looked into that and found practices to work with that. And I've even asked the question, what is the value of being in my body? Because I was like, it's like I want to be in here, but it's like not safe in here, or it hurts in here. So it was like I kept running from it. Plus, my head was also conditioned to always look at the past or the future. And I was playing in these like areas between depression and anxiety and back and forth because I was almost unwilling to be present in my life.
That is not your problem now, right, Lisa? For the beautiful thing that you have is the ability to now receive the information with a strong knowing that you are in fact receiving so much information and the information for others. For the only challenge that you would even have, if I was to call it a challenge, it would be more like a fun, let's go have fun challenge, would be to list out all the things that you would like to do when you are embodied, and then try to knock off, then they say, the bucket list if you want to. But it's just a very fun little experience and experiment for you to have, so that you can share with others the true joy of having an embodiment experience for when there was a time that was a lot scarier to be in your body.
Yes. And
Yes.
I do agree also with Jenna that is a very valuable topic.
Yes.
Because I do agree that that is, at one time, that is why I didn't spend time in my body, but it isn't.
Yes. But it isn't anymore. Yes.
Right.
And that also could be the reasoning for you having the two differences pointed out to you, so that you can share with others what it felt like not to be a body, what it feels like to be in your body, and what it feels like to be in your body and enjoy the body.
Yes.
That is a different state.
Yes.
All right, my love.
Thank you.
Yes.
All
We'd
right.
like to thank we would like to thank the master teachers and loved ones for their wisdom, compassion to know the truth. The records are now closed. Amen.
All right, Christina, you're up.
Hi,
Hello.
Christina.
Hello.
What is okay, Christina Young? What you have a middle name?
I do. It's Gedvilla, Gedvilla.
Okay. I can't be thinking about your question. And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and the courage to know the truth, as it is revealed for the highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. O Holy Spirit of God, protect me from all forms of self-centeredness and help me to direct my attention to the work at hand. Help me to know Christina Godvilla? Gedvilla, through the young, through the eyes, through in the light of the Akashic records, to see Christina Gedvilla, young, through the eyes of the Lords of the records, and enable me to share the wisdom, compassion that the master teachers and loved ones of Christina Gedvilla Young have for her. Take a deep breath. One more deep breath. The records are now open. Hi, Christina.
Hello.
Hi. Have you opened your records before?
Never.
You've opened them that you just didn't remember. It's okay. This is a formal way to do it.
But it's kind of fun.
Yeah. So what do you, I invite you to just share with us a couple words if you feel anything different. If you don't, that's okay.
I just feel really curious. I feel like it's just a really just fun thing that I want to just dive into.
Sure. What does it feel like to be in your records, using your records right now? Like, do the air feel different? Some people notice smells. Just take a time just to notice. You don't have to do anything with it or let us know, but just be in your records for a little while and take that
Kind of feels
in.
like I'm in a really big library and I just want to like twirl around with my hands up in the air.
Ah, that's how I see. That's how the channel sees it. Yeah. Uh-huh. It's
So,
very.
uh-huh.
Please ask your question.
So there's a couple things that I struggle with. There's two things that I'm thinking about, but the one that's really bubbling up to me is I feel like I'm enjoying the embodiment and the experience and, you know, the nature and eating pizza and all that, that wonderful stuff that we get to do. But I sometimes feel like there's a heaviness that's like a blockage in my throat chakra. And I'm wondering if that has, if that is sort of my perception of me holding something back, like not finding an inner voice. Does it have to do with perhaps feminine ancestry that I've had, that, you know, strong women that have not had a voice? Is it all of the above?
Mhm. Why do you want to know this answer?
Because I feel like there's something more I should be doing, I guess.
Ah, so then what you could ask is, what more can I be doing? What are you working on now? What is calling your heart?
What is calling my heart? You know what? I don't, that's what I don't
That's
know.
okay. Yes.
I feel joy and I feel happiness every day.
Well, then you have the answer to your first question. Yes, you are not expressing yourself. That is obvious in the form that you would present us now. I only point this out to be a little bit of humor, but yes, if you are experiencing a throat chakra tightening, it's because there is so much expression that wants to be formulated through your human experience today. So,
I think that makes a lot of sense because I feel like there's so much that I feel and I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what's more important. Like I start self-editing things.
Which is why you got to the second part of your question before asking the more prominent part of your question, which is why I brought you back to your prominent part of the question. When you stay with your question enough to really fill into the first question, and this is for everyone on the call, sometimes we go into, oh, what is this and why I got this and that, and then you fancy yourself out of just being with really what is my question. And sometimes you can do that by asking yourself, why I want to know this? Why would this information benefit me to know? And what if, and when you ask that question, you can also ask yourself from a, why do I want to know this information? And if I was to look at it from a spiritual journey and an elevation on a spiritual journey, if you're to use that linear term again, then, or continuum, then you would be asking, how do I use this information to not only elevate myself, for your, in your words, and to elevate your fellow man, for, to use your words, then you would receive very different information. For if you were just to say, I want to have, because I want to know my purpose so that I can just make another $35,000. Well, then that may not give you the same outcome for the why. So when you ask from the deeper meaning and from a more, and I don't want to use the word enlightened, but for a more human journey experience, then you would receive a different answer. So come back to your full expression of your question when you use your very good direct question. Many times, these are the things that we tend to want to most know, but I say with the channel, do not ask for. If we were to receive the answer, would mean that there would be a bigger calling and a bigger task, but there is nothing that we would ever, your soul would ever ask for that you could not be, do, or have. So, my love, what would you really like to ask?
Well, and I guess related to that, though, I feel like I've always struggled with trying to figure out where I belong. And by that, I always thought it was geographic. I've lived in a lot of different
You desire to
countries
come
and cities.
home and home in the stars.
Okay.
No, that is a different desire. For that was the first thing I wanted to share with you, but I'm just going to interrupt you with the information from there, so that way you don't go around the map with your mind using the geological locations, because your desire, it comes from you wanting to be here with your family and your your soul group and everybody, and how you remembered it to be before you incarnated on earth. And that desire is a very common desire. People who also leave the earth by taking their own lives, unfortunately. So beautiful soul, there are people who walk around with this sense of not really feeling a connection, or who feel like they are not home because you are not home. So just know that you are a very noble soul for wanting to still have your experience, and for coming to be with your soul in places like this. And by opening your own records, for if you were to open your own records, you would have more sense of belonging here on earth, because then you would have more information that comes directly from you.
Okay. So maybe the takeaway that I have is to maybe sort of sit and maybe similar to Paula, sort of
I would recommend you learn to open your records, and then you can vet your questions against your own and utilize the help of your master teachers and loved ones within a safe space. And that will ultimately help you find what you most want to share with the world. And then you would have the unblocking of the neck.
Okay, thank you. That makes a lot of sense. Very much appreciated.
And I say Nick to be funny, but we know it is a chakra information that is coming to you with great force, for it most wants to be shared. And you know what? The world most wants to hear. And you have a very important integral piece to put out here. And that is what your soul is desiring. It's saying, don't just sit here.
Yes,
Don't just
yes.
sit here. Yes.
Yes,
So you're
very
doing good work. You're taking your steps to find out what that is. And this is a very good way and avenue for you to do so. Bless you. We love you.
Thank you.
All right, Raven, you're up next.
Hi, Raven. Let me close our records real
Yep.
quick. We would like to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones for their wisdom and compassion. The records are now closed. Amen. Hey, Raven.
Hello.
What's your
Hi.
full name?
Okay, so legally, as it is
Yes,
right now, because it
yes.
just changed.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's Raven Angie Goodgain.
Even if it doesn't fit on you yet. But if it's on your legal records, yes, that's the one I want. Raven and Goodgain.
Angie.
Angie.
Mhm.
And then last name was Goodgain.
Goodgain, yes.
Cool. All right.
Good game.
Yeah. Well, hey,
I
Raven.
love when people have. a
I'm
good name
Hispanic
like
and
that.
I married twice. So I had all these different last names and all these different middle names and all these different names. And I was like, well, which name do y'all want?
Yeah, us Italians, we just collect names.
Yeah, same here. Same here. And I was like,
Yeah.
and technically I haven't really changed that one on that. So yeah, just the one that you are legally using right now. So we use that for that
Yes.
energy. Yeah. All good.
Yes. Mhm. And that
Okay.
just changed legally my first name from Spirit.
Okay,
So, yeah.
nice, beautiful. Okay, so he'll just be sitting with your question and I will open your records. And I do this because I read the whole thing because I want people to learn how to do their own records and because I feel like it really gets the energy.
Mhm.
And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and the courage to know the truth, as it was revealed for the highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. Oh, Holy Spirit of God, protect me from all forms of self-centeredness and direct my attention to the work at hand. Help me to know Raven Angie Goodgain in the light of the Akashic records, to see Raven Angie Goodgain through the eyes of the lords of the records, and enable me to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of Raven Angie Goodgain have for her.
Mhm.
Take a deep breath.
Mhm.
Mm. The records are now open. Hi, Raven.
Hello. So, my
Hang
question.
on. I just want you to be in your records for a second.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you just take a breath and to just experience what it feels like to be in your records?
Mhm.
Does it feel any different? You don't have to tell us. I mean, you just can experience it. A lot of people say it feels airy or light, or I mean, it can feel anything it is or nothing at all, but it's
It feels giddy. Just
cool.
giddy.
Very cool.
Mhm.
Very cool. It might be kind of your energy too. Raven, what is your question, my dear?
My question is I just opened up a wellness healing center that has advanced technology, so the energy enhancement technology, and not very many people are familiar with it, but it's life-changing. And just checking to see what I can be doing to connect more, or what direction I should be like putting my energy to connect to the right people.
Yes, and that is the question. That is everything right there. It is about connecting with the right people for you.
Mhm.
For there are so many things that we caution to use this because there might be some offense taken on this call, but we only mean this with the highest form of humor and light and fun. And there are so many things that are out here that are been marketed as life-changing. And while I know that yours is actually life-changing, there are other things that are competing with the same terminology and the same big boisterous claims, right? It could be a pair of scissors that some people say are life-changing. For that reason, that
Spread.
right? For that reason, the terminology gets very watered down, and your form and in your present state. And so the biggest thing for you to do, and I say that with all of that love and humor, because I want you to experience what others might experience when they first hear of the information. You're charged with two parts. One, you're trying to educate people of why this is truly life-changing or can change lives, for if someone to hold a rock and they feel like the rock was giving them benefit and they were able to meditate, then that rock would then be life-changing. So what you're really trying to do is to convey truly why someone would want to have the experience that you provide in your services. I don't know what they are, but I do know that if your conviction is that they are life-changing, then you would share in that form. But to truly be able to just say that as a blanket form, I'm sure you're not doing that, but here's where you had the right to ask of a question: who should I be connecting with? So that is where you're going to have the biggest benefit. You want to be able to partner with people that have maybe the local news and someone that can talk about your product as life-changing. You have to give them some experience and then have them share that experience with the broader people, the broader platform. But you would be good in actually networking and putting out your information, like in a press release, and sending that information and calling up the various different local news stations and have some of those really beautiful people come and experience your facilities and talk about it. And many times you can get them to do that for free because they are simply looking for stories.
Okay. I haven't thought about that.
That is a good place to
Good.
start. Or they have a big platform and they can tell them about how it changed their life or what they experienced, whether it is life-changing or not. It is still bringing more attention to your storefront.
Okay.
And remember, there are lots of different, TV station, radio station personality, even partner with a person that has good social media following. You can have them do that too. Don't seek them out for if you don't want to have a feeling of need that you convey, but you convey this from a place of very much lots of confidence in this product. And put blessing on it because you are on the right path, my love.
Perfect.
Coming here and asking for intuitive guidance is very profound. For if you take a step in one direction or the other, then you would know that you're making a good, sound decision. For if something were to fall flat, then you have more information. But you are not taking many steps that are falling flat. You are doing very good work.
Oh, perfect.
Yay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Light Soul. You do have the energy of fun. Convey that fun through your messaging. It would do you well.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would like to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones for their love and compassion, and the lords of the Akashic Records for their point of view. The records are now closed. Amen. How are we doing on time?
Yeah, let's take one more. We have Valentina waiting.
Okay.
And then we'll go ahead and open the door for your program.
Yeah, cool.
Because I want everyone to know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Valentina.
And I have some, let's do that.
Oh.
Or do you want to take her after, or how are we doing on time?
Why don't you go ahead and share it? And
Okay.
We'll go ahead and then take her. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put it in the chat.
I'm excited. At least two people on the line have done this program with me, and then I also have people that have been exchanging with me via, I do facilitation. We do some email and some stuff like that, but I'm pretty accessible, and it's been really exciting experience to put this together specifically for the How Hustle peeps. Because normally my one-on-ones are had been more expensive and more intense, but I've been able to put the whole experience into this package that I'm sharing today and more, just with a little bit of kind of finesse.
Yeah, and let me just say, for all these invitations and offers, you'll know which one you're being called to always.
Yep.
I mean, sometimes things are just really, really exciting for certain people, and then really, really
you're just like, no, I'm not. Yeah.
For others. And I really feel like that if you're called to this work, then this is the way that will bring you forth faster.
I have to agree. And I've had that. And that is how I attribute all of this work anyway. So just following that calling. And we also make it super easy for you to just choose you. Because for anything that's like over 150, we do a 2-pay option. So if you're not seeing that somewhere or you're curious, you can always just send us a message and we'll get you that 2-pay option, but it should be showing up on that drop down. So we just want to make it super easy. It's like, pay 1 month now and the next month, later if it's a little bit tighter. Because I've had some months like that too, when I first was ever listening to these types of calls. And I'll tell you, making that investment has changed everything. I mean, I wouldn't be here today. So, voila.
So let's talk about what's in.
Yeah.
How
So with my with the Akashic Records, we do an intro session. If you want to go down, the intro session is generally it's here as 60 minutes. But if you ask anybody that I've ever worked with, I go as long as kind of the needed for the energy. So I'm probably going a little bit over, and we'll just keep that hush hush. But really, because when we open up and we're getting into the question and we're driving, I really like to have that information come freely through you, because ultimately what I'm doing is I'm not only opening your records, but I'm teaching you how to access this information so that you can go on and to open this record for yourself and help your family, whatever you like, however you want to utilize the information. And then we do that during that time. What we usually get is information like you saw here today. And that was pretty laser coaching, if you will, some next steps, action points. So for example, for the lady that was just on, for her, we would kind of outline through a blueprint of how she would go about getting that done and what she most would like to have at the course of 6 weeks, because this is a 6-week program and it's just one-on-one. The whole thing is completely designed to you as well. So for her, she would, we would come up with that plan, then she would, and we'd even talk about a little bit what's going on in her life that may not have her have that as an outcome. And so we just try to address those things too, so that way that she can go in and set up those meetings and not have to worry about, like, is she going to cook dinner with her husband and what that might transpire. And we kind of get a little bit of the crux of that too. But if you're having a bigger issue and you don't know what to ask, usually, as you see, the channel will really dive in there and get your real question out of you. So it's a great way to start on any of the work that you want to do. So it's also for if you're just kind of confused, is like, dang, what do I do? What I most want to have happen? You can start with the records and really start utilizing the channel, start bringing that through. Eventually, you'll be able to go on and do this by yourself. And like Lisa, she came on and we had worked together. She's opening her own records now. And in fact, the records had been calling her for a while because she'd already had the book. Very much like me, the records came to me as well. And I had my book laying there for forever. So this is, really high level work, but it's super easy to implement. So then we're going to be working together for 6 weeks. We can either do that via email or Voxer, but mostly email's been working. You'll just check in with me and I'll check in with you. Lots of times people write me these really elaborate whole emails, and while they're writing, they're also receiving. And because I utilize their records to respond, usually the information's already flowing out of my hands, and I'm like, I can't get this out fast enough. I got to go ahead and go. But I do real time have been able to work with folks, and it's just been really beautiful. And I love doing it. So that's the other thing, and I think the channel really knows that. And then about the 4th week mark, because I don't like to do a front end, I like to do about 4 weeks out. Unless we're in summit mode, then we'll probably just go a little bit further to get to that point. Because then I want you to we'll meet again for 25 minutes. And I say that 25 minutes like lightly, because again, I like to open up the records, make sure we have enough good time. And then we'll put some other key things in place, take a look at where you've been. Lots of times you'll be really excited when I find is that clients are like, oh my gosh, I got so much information. And then they'll be like that. And then all of a sudden there's just like, So right about that point, and I'm really close with people on email at that point too, and they'll notice, and I'll say like, this is like, what happened? They'll go right here and they're like, did I really have an experience? Everything's kind of coming back. What you try to do is like, you've opened, you've changed so much because you can't go back. is that you're trying to go back and get back that comfort zone. And so of course your whole everything's going to try to align and put you back into collapse down, but you're not the same person. You've opened your records, you've gotten some insight, and you can never really go back there and there. So we open them again and we just kind of go back forth. And then you can, with me, kind of make those changes, and we kind of like either course correct, or maybe you're doing great and then we just layer on some fun stuff too. So again, back to most what you most want to desire, and then we just talk about what you're feeling. So that happens, and then at the close we'll just kind of like, okay, we'll exchange some more information. I'll always be your person, like if you ever have questions, and help you going forth with any of your Akashic records. But I really start to encourage people by about that fourth or fifth week, have you opened your records? Have you, what's your experience doing this yourself? Because I want you to be able to do this for yourself and for others if you want to. And that's what I got. Oh, sorry, those bonuses.
Yeah.
So the two fun bonuses, it comes directly from the QHHT sessions. The two things that the two mini snippets of the experience that I have with Nostradamus, and he's actually talking and giving this experience of, some warnings that he most wants us to know in this timeline. At the time that I received the information, the wars weren't even happening, had not even broken out yet. So very timely information, but also you will be in the energy of what that experience will be like. And if I add more to those, then I'll put those out to you as a bonus as well. So you get those too. It's very interesting. So if you ever want to see what it looks like to have that deeper channel experience, and you haven't done a QHHT session before, this kind of gives you the behind the scenes look at that too.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's what I got. Oh, it's 222, and we do a 2-pay option. So if you just really feel like you're being called to this, you can just pay the 111 today, and then the other 111 in a month. And by that time we would have, already be in your session, and we'll be talking about everything like that. And hopefully as a result of, anything that we reveal, your money can increase too. So if you're feeling a little stretched, just know that helps.
That has to do with confidence.
Yeah.
You just need to take some steps
Yep.
to get more confident.
Yeah.
That could
Right. Because everything affects everything.
know.
And yeah. Yay.
All right, Valentina, you're up.
Hey, Valentina. Hi.
Hey,
What is your
okay,
full name?
my full name is Valentina Smith. No middle name. I've never
Smith?
ever had
Okay.
a middle name.
Okay, cool. My husband doesn't either.
Here's what I look like.
All right. Let's see. I can see you. I got to say, hi, Valentina.
Sort of.
Nice to see you.
I know.
Oh, yes. You're always on here. We never get to see your lovely face. Thank you.
I got a big fat
And
face.
I know you're sweet. We love you. Love you.
Aw.
Nice to meet you. Finally.
Nice meeting you, finally.
All right. And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and the courage to know the truth, as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. O Holy Spirit of God, protect me from all forms of self-centeredness and direct my attention to the work at hand. Help me to know Valentina Smith in the light of the Akashic Records, to see Valentina Smith through the eyes of the Lords of the Records, and enable me to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of Valentina Smith have for her. The records, no, sorry, 2 times. Take a breath. More breath. The records are now open. Hey, Valentina.
Hey, as you're opening them, I could
Yeah.
feel a lot of energy and a lot of emotions. A lot of emotions.
Yeah, well, yes.
Okay.
That's because you're being overjoyed. Like they're like, oh my gosh, we just want to smother her with love. And sometimes that love can bring up those emotions because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so loved. And you're like, oh my gosh, what do I do with it? And that's okay.
All right.
I have
I
people that
thought of
just
it.
sit there in that. And so just take another breath for me, okay? And the message I'm getting for you right away is you are never alone. You're always surrounded by love. There is nothing you could ever do that would have us not love you. And with that, we ask your question, my love.
Okay. All right. I feel I have been held back purposely, um, and I'm not sure why. How can I get going again and rush forward to where I need to be? Um, I've just felt so very tired and sleepy, like I need to rest, and I've been resting and sleeping a lot. Um, I
And so,
think the words I need, uh, but the thing is, how am I supposed to blossom?
my dear one, first you got to give yourself some love. It's okay to rest. It is okay. And this is for everyone on the line. It is okay to feel like maybe you're resting and then you're like, gosh, I feel like I got to rest again. That's okay. Do not make yourself wrong. Making yourself wrong and feeling out of love for yourself will make you more tired. When you're mad at yourself, think about this for a second. I'm mad at you. How does that land? Does that make you feel like you want to get up in the world?
No.
Heck, it's making me drained. Because when we start layering those things upon ourselves, then we will make ourselves to have an eventual profit. So then you will for sure make yourself more upset and more grumpy and more tired. For then you had said, I don't know what's wrong with me. Well, then you have replaced the any joy with the wrongness of you. We are only sharing this in this very, very lightweight for because yes, you are experiencing some shift in your body that is causing some not like tons but some nutritional imbalance, not nutritional, it's more of a hormonal imbalance or like I would advise you to work with one of the people that have been on the show that specializes in working with the human body for you do need a little shift of I getting maybe hormonal or you could change some stuff that maybe eat more greens. I'm kidding for you. There is lots of light foods that have like the color orange would come up for you. The orange, even if it's the orange bell peppers. The point being is that there's a replacement of some for another, and just making that shift will start to work on your brain and make you, for one, have that little bit of shift, but the other is to look at your place of, maybe the discussion that that the hosts have been having on the show about the menopause, anything like that would shift your body from having a better experience here on earth. And then, of course, then the self-deprecation of having that I'm tired, and then you lay it on to yourself, and then it's like, it's the cycle. The channel understands completely where you're coming from because she was doing that with, I would say it, or excessive drinking. And then she would wake up and be like, I feel so bad, and then laugh and be like, well, why do I feel bad? Well, hello, you're poisoning yourself. But that is like where you don't want to make yourself wrong for it either. You just simply say, okay, I'm choosing from a different place. That was then, this is now. And the past doesn't even exist. So there's no need to stay in the place of I did this or that, or this is the point of, and make a whole new story based off of the not existing past. For you do not have to stay where you are then or tomorrow. You can be a very new person as it were and as it is now. But that does require for you to shift a little bit in the molecular structure of your body, the chemicals, or is there a Is there anything in the environment that is near your home that could be causing some? There's just something that is, maybe ailing you a little bit more than your higher self would like you to have as an experience.
I have diseases and fibromyalgia and different things like that, which I thought was part of it, but I don't think it is.
We would advise you to change your terminology around the words I have. Say, I experience disease in this body, and we would be having that not so much anymore. But because that will also encase the disease for every time that you say I have, then you have brought it right back into existence. Not to say that you are not experiencing that which you experience, because it is a very debilitating feeling to have that, but you can and will be free if that is your desire, for it is in your path to not
Free
have
of, free,
that full experience of the symptoms of the ailment. Know that if there was some biological changes that would happen, that you would, and even just the simple giving yourself a little break, if you will, and saying, I love you, would start that metabolic process for you in ways that you would never understand. But it does work, and you don't have to take my word for it. You can look at science. But we would advise you to spend more time connecting with your guides and receiving the information. You're always receiving, my love. But when you're in a state of expressive tiredness or expressive hurt or any other ailments, of course, anyone can raise their hand and say, yes, I know what that feels like. Because then you would not have the space to sit in meditation. For if your foot was ailing you, then you would not be wanting to sit and just connect with your guides, or you would want to go and tend to your foot if it was bleeding, for example. But the point that we are trying to convey to you, my love, is that you are so assisted. And it is rightfully and gainfully for your advantage that you would come and get more answers here today with us. We celebrate you. This is your information. And know that you do not have to suffer. And you won't anymore, because the simple fact of sitting here with me today has already opened a new path for you. How does that feel?
I feel good.
And more than feeling good, we want you to take away something from this. What is something that you could do tomorrow, in the next 5 minutes per se? Could you have a friend? Does a friend know about nutrition, or about maybe they had the experience of menopause? Anything. Could you go and seek out the information? I'm getting that maybe more than just the internet search, an actual conversation. For the simple act of doing that will also bring in more people who are apt to support you.
Yeah, I really don't have those kind of people.
Okay. Do you have a
people? It's really about her going out and being a part of a community.
That is what we're trying to get her to. We're trying to get her to express back to us. Or if the suggestion comes from the outside of her, then she will not
choose it.
Want to act upon the physical embracement of the understanding of it, for it has to come from within. So first, we'd like to applaud you for continuing to come to be with the host today, because the simple fact is that you are, by simple expression. You are sitting here and receiving no less than what you would need. Now, we would invite you to take the next step by having some form of, it's not that you even have to connect with someone, but just to take the motion of doing that.
Interesting.
If you wanted to, could you look, do you have insurance? Some insurance providers provide a free hotline for information about how to change some chemicals in your body. And there are doctors who are now treating women for menopausal expression. I would invite you to just search what your what your available resources could be. And if your available resources are simply showing up to be with Janet and Lyanca each day or whenever they are on, then that is admirable as it were and as it is. But the thing is that you then celebrate your fact for just going to do that. That's okay. We want you to take one step more and know that you are already on a new path. You are already on a new path.
Yeah.
Okay.
My loved one, you simply have to know that you can change this. There are people that work in this space and join on this community that have experienced profound change. And they find that just because they just keep choosing to ask a question. There's so much information that is free on the internet too.
Mhm.
And we are
That's where I
here
usually
to
go.
support you. We are here to support you. Continue to open your records, my love, or find a way in which you find that you can trust the information you're receiving, because we so want to support you. We hear you, but for us to come into meadow into your own space, you would not like that. And it's not part of our, you have free will.
Yeah.
You're
I know
so
I have free will.
loved. We're so loved. Please know that.
Well, that's a hard one to swallow
I know.
because
We've got
I
lifetime
myself,
conditioning for all this. I mean,
my whole life has not been full of love.
I know.
yeah.
We invite you to continue to join the hosts, as even if it's just for quiet time and just to experience them, then you would be having change as well. But if there is some way that you want to reach out more, then you're more than welcome to do so. Open the information. You can download the pathway prayer for opening your records and sit with the information as well. We would love for you to get mentorship and guidance around it, but you still have all of the information to you, and there's no charge for it. There's no monetary exchange. You just want you to be happy and free and know that we are with you in every sense of the moment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So it's like, it truly is our birthright to be able to do this. We're just not taught this, until, until now.
Yeah, I would like
You
to
know,
thank the
so-
master
sorry.
teachers in Loveland for their compassion. And I'd like to thank the Lords of their records for their point of view. And I'm going to say the final one. And I'd like to thank the Holy Spirit of God for all light and lessons and healing. The records are now closed. Amen. The records are now closed. Amen. Yeah, no, that's one of the things that is so funny, because I can go into these different states and some of the information that's coming out, I'm like, why am I not giving this to myself?
Yeah.
It's really from a heightened, more enlightened place. And most of the times, not most, every time, it's exactly what your heart has been desiring. And, the information that's available to all of us,
Yeah.
everywhere.
Mhm. So if you want to work with Lyanca on her 6-week blueprint, the link is in the chat. It'll also be in and around the email. So do definitely take
thank
her up
you.
on it if you're
Yeah.
called
It's
again.
actually called a life print, but it's like a blueprint of a life. So it's the same thing. It's so silly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, we will be back on Monday. And I think we have a Humna, which has
Yes.
been one of the coolest and favorites for a
Mhm.
while for myself, because she talks like meridians and money and
Yes.
stuff.
And then we have Macy Bristol on Monday as well. And she's
Mhm.
going to be talking about, I love her. She brings in the tarot and the astrology.
Mhm.
And one of the things I learned from Nostradamus was that we've gotten away from that
Mhm.
because we have technology. But if
Yeah.
and he was disappointed to not be able to go through my this, and I have none. I was like, I got nothing for you up there on astrology. And he expressed the importance of us
Mhm.
learning more of that. So
Good.
Masami's conversation came at a very timely time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. There are 2 viewing rooms out. There'll be another one that we're opening on Sunday.
Yeah.
So you'll have, until the 10th of October.
How long are we running the contest for? Do we open it up and do
The
more?
Instagram?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna follow up with everyone this weekend, DM you through your Instagram so that you can get your prizes. And
Oh, thank you. This has been fun, y'all.
it's been so good.
Yeah. A great week. And the
Yeah.
party's never over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all next week, Monday through Thursday, we'll be around, and then it'll be back to our Tuesday, Thursday regular.
Mm-hmm. So join us all next week. Still another whole week of full of speakers and fun.
Mhm.
So are we going to run the Instagram challenge through the weekend?
No, I don't think so. 'Cause
Okay.
we don't really have post plans.
Okay. Very fair.
So just Instagram. Today's the last
Okay.
day for this week, and then I'm gonna wrap everybody up.
That sounds
And
good.
then come Monday, everybody gets to come
Oh, I love it.
and yeah.
If you have
There's
questions,
probably a few more digital prizes.
Oh, for
going
sure,
out.
for sure.
I'm kind of out of books.
Oh, that's good. We finally did that.
No.
If you have any questions or you need anything from us, we're always happy to help at team at houtehustle.com. And if you're listening on the replay, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you. All right.
And without further ado,
If you have any questions, you can always email us at team@houtehustle. That also helps us. So if a mistake has been made and you're like, this link isn't working, it really helps us as well. I just want to
Yes.
let you know
Yeah.
that. So don't ever feel like you're bothering us. If you actually need something, you'll probably help a lot of other people too.
Yes. Well, thank y'all.
Bye,
What a
everyone.
great week.